So about Blue Period, this season of anime was overall kind of underwhelming. I mean, I know we've been getting some above average seasons lately, but there's really only a handful of shows worth watching, at least from what I have checked out. 95% of them are just straight up mecha anime. 86 is probably the best that came out, but I never watched season 1. I tried out maybe 4 or 5 different mecha anime, and ended up sticking with only one, that being Sakugan. It isn't anything revolutionary or anything, but it's pretty good. So in terms of quantity, I haven't been watching that many shows lately, but the ones that I am watching are still pretty good shows. Things like Tag Destiny or Lupin, which I made a video about that you should check out, and Platinum End. Platinum End was the one I was anticipating to be the one I enjoyed the most this season. And don't get me wrong, it is still a pretty good show, but it isn't my favorite from this season. What ended up becoming my most enjoyable to watch was something that I wasn't even aware of beforehand. It was one of those animes that you just decide to watch on a whim. Sometimes I feel like I can just sense if an anime is good or not, because every season I end up picking up a show that I know nothing about and just watching it off of its face value, and it ends up being really good. Stuff like Odd Taxi. I mean, now Odd Taxi is pretty well known since it got recognition from Gigguk, which thankfully it did because it was honestly the best show from that season. I actually picked it up by accident because a totally legit website that I used to watch anime had a mix-up, and they swapped the episode of Odd Taxi with another anime for a few hours. I played through the opening theme and I actually liked it a lot, so I looked it up and I decided to give it a watch. Probably the best mistake that has happened in my life. But yeah, this anime ended up being one of those that surprise you when you least expect it, and the anime I'm of course referring to as Blue Period. I'm surprised I didn't even hear about it beforehand. It looks like it has a decent following, but I just never heard of it before. So just going off the little description and the thumbnail for the anime, I decided to watch it. And this is definitely by far my favorite anime from the season. So that's what we are going to talk about today, about Blue Period and why it's such a great series. Before that though, like and subscribe for future content. Alright, so for those who have not watched it, let me give a brief summary. The story follows our main character Yatora, who started out as a delinquent. He did the usual delinquent things like smoking and all that other stuff. He spent most of his time just hanging out and doing nothing really with his friends. We later learn he doesn't really do it because he enjoys it, but just to fit in. He only does those types of things when he's with his friends. But then one day there was an art exhibit at his school. He decides to check it out to kill some time, but he ends up being pretty impressed. He sees a painting by Mori and it really surprised him. This is when his interest in painting first started to grow. He had a art class with his friends, but he never really tried to take it seriously. They usually just wasted the time by doing random doodles and stuff. But after the exhibit, Yatora actually wanted to try and paint something serious this time. I forgot what the exact topic was, but it was something like drawing their perspective of the city or something like that. And what Yatora came up with was actually pretty good, at least according to the teacher. She praised him for his art and said it was really well done with the colors, and this drove his interest with art even further. He started to take art classes more seriously and even joined the art club, which is where he met Mori, the person who drew the art from the exhibit. She had talked about how she was applying to the College of Arts, and without Yatora full as if he never really done anything for his own self, he decided on a goal. He set his eyes to also join the College of Arts for when he graduates, and decided that he wanted to pursue painting. Now I skimmed over a lot of the story, but those are some general points of how it progressed in the first episode or two. This anime honestly felt really refreshing. Usually I'm not even the biggest fan of shows that follow this type of plot, where it is a slice of life where high schoolers deal with high school problems. But Blue Period really stuck with me. The way Yatora progresses from this delinquent with no passion to something he wants to pursue really got me interested. Not only that, but the risk also added into the story, because Yatora is honestly taking a pretty big gamble. I forgot the actual number, but the acceptance rate for the art college is really low, about 5% or lower. And this is later on, but Yatora's parents aren't really in the best spot to pay for college. So for Yatora, he's taking a pretty big gamble. If he ends up failing, he'll have to wait until next year to apply again. And with how serious he got with it, it was really inspiring. Not only that, but how art also shows Yatora's inner struggles with himself. I went over it really briefly in the summary of the show, but Yatora has identity issues. He's extraordinarily good at reading a room, and because of that, he also has a habit of trying to entertain others. He acts in the best possible way to have positive interactions with others, even if he may not exactly agree with it. That being shown with how he used to only smoke with his friends. He never really did anything that he wanted because he didn't want to rub bones with others. I make his friends sound like pretty bad friends, but they're actually pretty good. I wasn't expecting it, but they all respected Yatora's pursuing art and even supported him. It was more like the problem with how Yatora's habits made him do stuff without considering what he wants, and in one of the later episodes, one of his friends even confronts him about it and tries to help him get over his bad habits. So he has a W friend group, and seeing how he learns more about himself while he pursues art is really enjoyable to watch. If you never watched it, I highly recommend it. It is a really good series. But yeah, that is pretty much all I have to say. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe for future content. Peace.